Tower of Guns, Tower of Guns, Tower of Guns. This game is the shit, folks. This is 7th, by the way. I've just got to tell you, I've been having a lot of fun with this one. I know it looks kind of simplistic, but it is in glorious 60 frames per second. And it's just a lot of fun. I don't really know. As simple as it is, I can't even tell you how much fun I've had just playing through this silly, stupid game. It's a first-person shooter, but it's basically a first-person shooter bullet hell roguelike. You're in this tower and you got to fight from level to level, and of course you can level up and whatnot, but you have different items that you can pick up, like perks, I guess you could call them, that they help you during the tower. But when you die, you lose them all. But what you do is you can build up experience to up your level, and you can collect money that you can use to buy better weapons, better upgrades for your weapons, and what have you. But what really makes it so much fun is just the sheer lunacy of it once you get up into the higher towers. You'll get to the point where there's just bullets flying everywhere, like you're playing a shoot 'em up bullet hell type game. I mean, literally, the screen's filled with bullets. And hopefully you've picked up the right perks to be able to, keep yourself alive during that kind of stuff. But you have to be careful when picking up your perks, because some of the ones that you grab can really mess you up. Like, there are some that will increase the difficulty. There are some that'll increase how much damage the enemies can take and cut yours in half. But at the same time, there are perks you can get where it cuts the enemy's damage level in half and it doubles your life, or how much damage it takes to kill you. So that's one thing you've got to keep in mind to be successful with this game. You just have to watch what you're picking up and be familiar with what each perk does. That's the main thing that'll help you succeed with it. It's not the most difficult roguelike style game that I've played, because there's a lot of perks in this game that will make you extremely overpowered. And there's one particular perk, I can't remember the name of it, but once you get that perk, it makes you so impervious that it just takes a massive amount of bullets to kill you. And once you find it, you're all good. But, typical roguelike fashion, the game is a little bit different every time you play it. Things get moved around. Now here's one of the bosses you can fight. This is Dr. Turret. And he's not really all that much of a challenge, because he's he's one of the first ones you come across. And you basically just got to stay out of the way of the little projectiles that he shoots at you, like right there. Those little spinny things. Stay out of the way of those little guys, and then he'll eventually blow up. There's nothing hard there. But some of the bosses in this get absolutely fucking ridiculous. They're so over the top, you just got to see it. Now, there aren't that many of them. I think there's, if I remember right, there's 7 or 8. I've lost count. But for a roguelike, it's not going to be overly difficult for you. I mean, I got through this all the way through the whole tower probably on my 2nd playthrough. So it becomes not so much about beating it like you would with a typical roguelike. It's how effectively you can beat it, how fast you can get through the stages. It's about beating your own personal best, because just winning it, not a problem. Very simple, very easy. But it's fun. That's the main thing. I don't know how long it's been since I've had so much fun just playing such a simple shooter. I mean, what it reminds me of, and if I remember correctly from some of the reading that I've done, this started out as a mod of something else. And that's what it really reminds me of, is back in the day when when Doom 2 was just the most popular thing, and you could go and find all these different mod levels that people had made. And I can remember just spending hours playing through all these insane mods that people had made up for Doom 2. Like I remember the one that had the it had these giant Bill Clinton heads, because you know back then Bill Clinton was still president, and he's walking around screaming "tax, spend" while you're shooting him, and just really ridiculous themed levels. I remember there were some Alien levels before, you know, Aliens trilogy first-person shooter even came out. Yeah, just a lot of cool shit. I remember there was a Doom Star Wars mod that somebody had made way before Dark Forces ever came out. So that's kind of what this reminds me of, is playing those old modded levels and just kind of having fun and laughing with it, because you know it's just a harmless piece of fluff, you know. But I guess there is some level of challenge to it if you're not overly accustomed to playing first-person shooters, and you know, especially accustomed to circle strafing, because that's you know, circle strafing's not that much of a valid strategy in modern shooters so much. But this game is very old school, so you can still get by pretty well with using the old-fashioned circle strafe to keep yourself out of harm's way of some of these bad guys as you run across them. Now, of course, I don't know if this stuff's supposed to be lava or what. It looks like piss to me, but whatever, it burns you if you step in it. But you'll notice that the enemies can be arranged pretty much anywhere. It's like they can be hanging off the sides of walls, they can be clinging to the ceiling. It's just, you never really know where they're going to be, and you just kind of have to watch where the bullets are coming from and aim accordingly. Now, some of them are pretty harmless and are just, you know, kind of floating around to give you something to shoot, but there are some that can get pretty aggressive. And you're not going to see it here because I'm pretty early into the tower. But like I said, eventually you'll get to the point where there's just cannon fire everywhere, bullets flying everywhere. You know, it doesn't look like there's any oxygen left in the room from all the bullets and cannonballs that are flying around everywhere. It gets utterly ridiculous, and the frame rate stays really solid. I was really impressed with it. Now, of course, graphically, it's not overly detailed. I mean, it has kind of that almost cel-shaded Borderlands look to it, which I like. But just being able to, you know, play a shooter that's 60 frames per second, which is not something that we're getting too often in this generation, that makes, you know, it makes for a very fun, fast, fluid gameplay, which for this kind of shooter you kind of have to have that. Of course, you'll notice in this little area that you're not only having to worry about the enemies on screen, you're also having to worry about obstacles. So you've got these giant moving walls that can crush you that you have to avoid, and then of course you're moving up vertically at the same time, and you've got enemies that, because of how much higher up they are than you, and to navigate, dodge walls, and dodge cannon fire all at the same time. Plus you have these enemies that are just floating around trying to find you too. So this is just a taste of it. This isn't even a good example of how insane some of these levels can get. This is pretty tame by comparison to what you'll find later on in the tower. Now, if there's a storyline to this, I haven't bothered to look at it. I mean, what kind of storyline could you really have? I mean, you're just in a tower trying to get to the top. You know, maybe if they had put some more into it, this could have been like the bullet hell equivalent of Portal. You know, where you were being tested and had some kind of a mentor character who ends up being an insane, you know, same thing as with Portal. You could have had a similar type storyline with this, but there's not really any of that to this. It's it's pretty straightforward. You just shoot till nothing left moving and then move to the next room. Uh-oh. Yes, this is one of the other bosses here. Now, because of the gun that I'm using, I'm able to take him out fairly quickly. Normally, if you blow him up, he'll explode in, if you do it the wrong way, he'll explode into a bunch of little mini versions of him, and then it becomes a lot more challenging, but I didn't have to worry about that this time. That's another thing you don't really about this game that I kind of like. You don't really have to worry about ammo. So if you want, you just hold down the trigger button and let her go. You don't have to worry about running out of ammo at all. You do have to worry about stepping in that piss stuff, though. And then these little guys are basically just there to kill. And can give you different little perks. Now, there's the one. That's the one that you need to avoid, because that's one of the ones that cuts your shit in half. Again, being successful in this game, the key to it is paying attention to what you pick up. So there you go, guys. That's Tower of Guns. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, look. I didn't do too bad. Hope you enjoyed it. This is 7th.